under the sun. And even American companies like John Deere, long and storied and historic company.
If you look at Deere stock today, the stock closed out. So there's a couple of reasons for that.
In the Trump administration here, a 200% tariff, is that plausible? How do you tax something that high?
What happens when an American icon, loved by farmers for nearly 2 centuries, faces a tariff so high it could bury them? John Deere, a symbol of grit and innovation, is now shutting down U.S. operations. But the twists in this story are wild. From fights over repairs to a 200% tariff war with the government, how did the company that solved farmers' problems become a massive problem for American farming? And why are farmers saying even John Deere couldn't plow through this mess? Let's dig into the irony and the drama. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
President Donald Trump today vowed to impose a 200% tariff on John Deere's imports.
Don't forget, President Trump renegotiated NAFTA, right? So all of this is sort of within the realm of what's reasonable.
John Deere wasn't just a brand, it was a lifeline, the very name associated with saving farmers from failure. Back in 1837, when sticky Midwestern soil was breaking wooden plows faster than farmers could afford to replace them, a blacksmith named John Deere came up with his iconic self-scouring plow. It sliced through tough soil like butter, revolutionized farming, and cemented Deere as an American hero.
At the rate, he vowed to impose a 200% tariff on John Deere's imports.
If you said to me, like, John Deere is going to catch shrapnel on a policy discussion, I would have been very surprised.
Over the decades, the company became a one-stop shop for farmers, offering everything from advanced tractors to harvesting equipment. Deere didn't just sell tools, they sold trust. Farmers knew they could count on those green machines, rain or shine. But then something changed. Flash forward to now, and Deere has morphed from savior to saboteur. The problem? A locked-down repair system that left farmers feeling stuck and betrayed.
If the company continues with its plan to move some of its production to Mexico. The idea, though, is stirring, of course, some controversy, although
equipment to their Mexican facility, which, quite frankly, is a good business decision now.
Let's say you're a farmer who spent $500,000 on a top-tier John Deere tractor. Naturally, when it breaks down, you'd hope to fix it quickly, right? Well, not with Deere. Thanks to their proprietary software, you'll need to call an official dealership or mechanic, cough up hundreds in fees, and lose precious hours, sometimes days, during planting season. Farmers soon found themselves spending more on fixing these high-tech tractors than on the basic ones that got the job done decades ago. Farmers pushed back hard. Some jumped ship entirely, switching to companies like Kubota or snapping up older models from the used market just to avoid Deere's repair drama. The backlash didn't stop there. The Federal Trade Commission even got involved, accusing Deere of monopolizing repairs to lock farmers into their system. Combine that with protests and lawsuits, and suddenly the company that symbolized innovation was painted as the villain. For the farming community, this wasn't just about broken tractors, it was about broken trust. So here's the irony.
As well here, others say, though, it will make things more expensive for the everyday American. Let's talk about tariffs and how the market is responding and reacting to.
Deere is very quick to point out they have 60 facilities in the U.S. and 30,000 U.S. workers, and they're really talking about moving like lower margin.
Deere built its legacy on fixing farmers' problems, but now it's their repair practices plowing a wedge between them and their customers. And just as things seemed bad, a 200% tariff was waiting to dig Deere into an even bigger hole. Imagine this. You close a tractor sale, and by the time the ink dries, the price has skyrocketed. Not because of inflation or supply chain issues.
This is Trump's economic playbook, tariff everything.
It was more of an offhand comment, I think, than a full policy discussion. But, this would apply to whatever was coming out of Mexico, which is actually very small.
But a 200% tariff slapped on it by the government. That's exactly what happened when John Deere decided to shift production to Mexico, sparking a political brawl no one saw coming. Under President Trump's watch, this move was labeled a betrayal of American workers, and the administration hit back hard. The 200% tariff wasn't just a threat, it was a very clear dare. Go ahead, offshore jobs, and see what happens to your business. Deere didn't have to wait long to feel the blow. First came the layoffs. Hundreds of jobs vanished from Deere plants in places like Iowa and Illinois, leaving Middletown America reeling. Towns that once thrived on steady paychecks from Deere workers saw their economies shrink almost overnight. East Moline, a longtime Deere stronghold, began to resemble a ghost town as factories went quiet. Local diners, hardware shops, and grocery stores, all dependent on the money those plants brought in, suddenly started counting their days.
Under the sun, and even American companies like John Deere, long and storied and historic company.
If you look at Deere stock today, the stock closed off. And there's a couple of reasons for that.
In the Trump administration here, a 200% tariff, is that plausible? How do you tax something that high?
For these places, the tariff wasn't just a corporate issue, it was survival-threatening small-town America. That's not where it ended. Farmers, the people Deere had relied on for over a century, were now canceling orders left and right. With costs doubling on certain tractors, many simply couldn't afford Deere's products anymore. Even investors panicked, yanking their confidence and their money out of the company. Deere's stock nosedived, while the once powerful green giant clocked a 50% drop in first-quarter income and a staggering 35% decline in revenue. For a brand synonymous with reliability, this stumble felt colossal. Here's the irony. Deere moved production to Mexico to save money, but the tariffs made their entire cost-cutting strategy a disaster. Suddenly, the very company that symbolized American farming was stuck forced to pick between their global ambitions and their roots in the U.S. And that's where things got even murkier. John Deere's collapse isn't just about one company, it's a stark warning for American agriculture. Trust, once Deere's strongest asset, shattered under repair battles and outsourcing scandals. Politics only poured fuel on the fire, with trade wars turning cost-saving strategies into catastrophes. And if a giant like Deere is stumbling, what hope do smaller competitors have? Farmers are stuck asking themselves who they can rely on now. The irony? Deere was founded to help struggling farmers, yet today, farmers are the ones trying to stay afloat. The real question is, who's going to step in to fix this mess?